Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. We're going to talk about more about Ripple's response to the lawsuit and what it actually implies. There's going to be more information on Hedera Hashgraph, and CME is going to offer BTC options soon. But to me, that's not a great thing. So we actually talked in depth about Ripple's response to the securities lawsuit, and I actually did get some responses from Jake over here. If you want the full lowdown, you'll have to watch the beginning part of the live stream. But I did talk to Jake via Twitter, and Jake is he's an attorney he's actually a lawyer that actually deals specifically with this stuff. He's a general counsel, and he has some very interesting insights on this. He basically thinks that this is a delay tactic by Ripple, and delay serves two purposes. One, it does actually serve the purpose of costing the other side more money in terms of litigation. Ripple is well funded. They have a lot of lawyers. So this might convince them to drop the case. I don't think it will, because I think the other side is funded by large and well-funded parties as well. The motion to dismiss the XRP securities class action, it basically falls on a technicality. It has nothing to do with the security issue itself. So even if they dismiss it based on these issues, it is not really going to have any kind of regulatory clarity. So Jake actually thinks that eventually this case will settle, but in about 2021. So we got about a year and a half to wait before any real kind of judgment comes down. Most likely, there's going to be correspondence with filing amended complaint by the plaintiff, followed by another response by Ripple. And I don't think they're going to get the dismissal, and they're going to have to actually settle in maybe like a year or two, basically. So these cases generally do not settle fast, and all securities suits that are not dismissed are settled afterwards. And basically, the motion to dismiss is a well-crafted and tactically effective response to the complaint, but a big disappointment for those hoping this case might yield a helpful precedent on how security laws apply to digital assets. So the other part is there's a kick lawsuit, and that one is directly hitting the SEC head on, and it's very different from this lawsuit. There's a lot of differences, but the kick lawsuit is actually directly attacking the securities plan for digital assets. So if you're interested in that part, that lawsuit is probably more relevant than this one, because this one is just dismissing on a technicality of they didn't sue us in time or something like that. That one is actually we're not a security. So that one's actually much more interesting to me. However, this is with a much more widely known company in Ripple as to Kick, and it'll probably be a year or two before this is resolved. So I wouldn't really look forward to anything in the near future. It'll be at least a few months, most likely 1 or 2 years before this actually resolves. And even if it does resolve, it doesn't provide regulatory clarity. The second thing I wanted to talk about is Hedera Hashgraph. We actually got a little bit more information on it, and one of the guys on my stream or that watches my videos actually did more in-depth research on it, and he actually somehow found out that there was about 370 million to 390 million H-bars sold at the price of 1/10 of a penny for pre-seeding. If you actually look at the volume of Hedera Hashgraph, the first 3 days of operation, not Coinbase, CoinMarketCap. So if you actually look at the first 3 days of operation, you can see that the volume, $17 million a day, been up and down, but I think in total the volume maybe is like $40 million, maybe a little more over the last 3 days. If you believe that is majority-wise or all the H-bar sells, then they're basically out of cheap H-bars, and it may be a good time to actually pick up some H-bars. However, if you believe this is mostly wash trading like a lot of people do, then you might want to wait to buy some more H-bars. As long as they have significant amount of those H-bars they bought at 0.01 cents, then the price is probably not going to stop dropping, because they can basically continually sell those bars at very low prices and still make a lot of profit. But if you believe that the majority of this volume is basically the pre-seed dumping, then they probably dump most of the supply of their pre-seed. Now, here's the other thing. We don't know if there was some kind of locking mechanism on the pre-seed yet, so they could have locked it and they're going to release those over time. Remember, HBAR has about 50 billion in supply, so 370 to 390 million pre-seed is not that much. But they could have locked those and released them over time at certain intervals. And if that's the case, then I'm just less optimistic on HBAR altogether, because there will always be X amount of that pre-seed that they can actually sell for profit. But if they gave all the pre-seed to people right off the bat and they actually just dumped them right off the bat, it could mean that there's not that many HBARs left. So make the decision on your own. What do you think? And and definitely do your own research on this, because there is still a lot of missing information that we're slowly trying to piece together. So the other thing is CME is going to offer Bitcoin options. They already offer futures, and they're going to offer Bitcoin options starting in early 2020. I'm actually not bullish about this, because CME options and futures and those things are generally ways to manipulate Bitcoin without actually owning Bitcoin. So I actually think this might manipulate the price downwards. Not a huge fan of this stuff, but it's really your view on it. It does probably bring in a little bit more legitimacy, but seeing how prices went after CME actually offered their futures, not really too great about this. So that is the news for today. Let me know what you think. Thank you and have a nice day, and join me on my 2 daily live streams.